welcome back to the program. We have Jan Morgan is with us. You, of course, know who she is. She's Arkansas business owner of the Gun Cave, also what I would call the biggest Second Amendment activist in the state of Arkansas, one of the biggest Second Amendment activists in the nation. Jan, welcome back.
Oh, thanks for asking me on, Paul. I appreciate that.
So, absolutely. I'm glad that you could come on. I saw your Facebook post, and I just have to say, I'm going to read it. Today, I was uninvited to speak at this event, the Craighead County Republican Party event, after my appearance was promoted on their flyers. I'll tell you the details on the Paul Harrell program today at 5. Well, tell us, what happened?
Well, I was invited to speak at this event several days ago. It was they invited me by phone call, one of the leaders of the organizers of the event. I said, absolutely, I'll be glad to speak. I would be honored to speak at your event. They produced the flyers, sent me a copy of it. I promoted the event on my page. And then this morning, bright and early, I got a phone call from one of the organizers of the Reagan Day dinner. And bless her heart, I could tell this was not her decision. She was just being forced to make the phone call. But she just said, Jan, I'm so sorry, but, the event has really become busy. We've got a lot of things going on, and I know that you don't want to just come to speak for 3 minutes, and so we already have a couple of speakers here, so we're just going to ask you not to speak at the event. We're declining our invitation for you to come. And my response was, well, your event, the things you had lined up, you already had lined up before you asked me to speak, and I've already promoted this on my pages, and you promoted it on your flyers. So how am I to handle this? Because I don't want people to think I just didn't show up and I bailed on them.
Right.
And she said, well, we're going to, we're going to have another event sometime and have just you come and speak. And so that was pretty much it. I did suggest to her that the better way out, since there were 3 speakers, it would be to simply tell each of the speakers, including me, you've got 15 minutes, and then you can carry on with the rest of the Reagan Day program. But, that's the crust of it. I understand there was a meeting last night where this decision was made, and I can't tell you what went on behind the scenes. All I can tell you is about the phone call I received this morning.
So, all right, so to recap, we're talking with Jan Morgan. You're saying you got a phone call and you felt that, this person who was telling you can't come, that they were very sorry, that maybe they didn't agree with the decision. And so what you were told maybe wasn't the whole truth, but you say there was a meeting. You think at this meeting they decided whether or not you were or were not going to come?
Well, it was voted on by a committee, and from what I was told. So, but they had already invited me and already produced the flyers. And in fact, the 2 ladies who were organizing the event, very gracious ladies, and I'm sure they were embarrassed and most apologetic, but they were simply following orders. And so, I can't say whether or not they voted against it. I wasn't at the meeting. I can just say that the 2 ladies seemed to very, very, very sorry that it had happened and were most embarrassed. And you would have to ask them how they felt about it. But anyway, so that's the brunt of it. Now, I do know that a number of Republicans who were planning to attend, because I had promoted it on my pages, people that follow me on social media.
Can I ask you this? How big is your social media following? Just to give people an idea of what it would mean to tell people you're going to be at an event and then not be there.
1.5 million people on my social media pages. I have several pages and some private patriot groups, and the compilation is over 1.5 million. And as you know, I'm the national spokesperson of the Citizens for Trump organization, Paul, so I have a huge following there that includes Arkansans as well as other states around the country. So, there are people who are already saying on my social media pages that they're going to call and cancel their tickets, that some people have bought entire tables. They say they're not going now. I mean, that's what they posted on my page. So I don't know. And there is talk of some Republicans who are very upset about this. They're saying that they're going to organize a counter event and asked me to speak at it during the same time.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not involved in organizing that event. If that happens, I will be there simply because I've already allocated the time and the resources to make sure that I was free to be in that area of the state. And I was, Paul, looking so forward to meeting with and talking to the folks of Craighead County. There's some really good people there. And so I was disappointed, but not surprised, frankly.
Yeah. So do you want to speculate at all at maybe why, why you were disinvited in terms of, it seems like these orders maybe came from people higher up in the party who maybe are uncomfortable with some of your ideas. I've been following you on social media for a while and always aware of the massive following that you have. But recently you've been talking about
the maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. We lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Hey, folks, welcome to the program today. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Paul, and you have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality where we are building a liberty machine. And one of the ways you can help us out, one of the ways you can do that, is to call us or text us. That number is 870-275-9799. That is 870-275-9799. Okay, so, sometimes it's just one of those shows where everything kind of comes together and falls in place at the last minute. Last week, we told you that Jan Morgan was scheduled to come to the Craighead County Reagan Day dinner, and she was scheduled to speak, and then she was disinvited. Now, that is not in dispute. She was invited, then she was disinvited. The controversy arises is why. Was it because of, party leaders maybe outside of the Craighead County Republican Party? Did that have something to do with it? Were they saying, no, you can't do this because Jan Morgan has been critical of the Republican establishment on her social media pages and everything else? Or was it the official statement of the Craighead County Republicans, which was, no, we disinvited Jan Morgan, who's incredibly popular? It was a very respectful statement because we didn't have, the person invited didn't have the authority to invite, and our show is booked, and we would only have had 3 minutes for her, and she'd have to drive all the way to Northeast Arkansas for only 3 minutes, and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm telling you, when I reported we had Jan Morgan on, we got all kinds of pushback from the county committee, up in my neck of the woods, Craighead County. So in response to that, you had Baxter County, which is putting on a Hillsdale College event for their Lincoln Day dinner. They decided to invite Jan Morgan to the Baxter County Republican deal because that was on the same day, and she already had the time scheduled. So that was happened. That happened. That was secured, and then Mississippi County, back over in Northeast Arkansas, Mississippi County assured people that they would not be canceling Jan Morgan at their event. That the event was still going to go on. Okay? So what I can tell you is that there is apparently still pressure that's being put, or pressure that was being put, on specifically the Mississippi County Republican Party. And the reason I can say that is because I have an email. Yeah, that's right. Somebody decided to send me an email. So I have this email. Let's take. And I've actually, by the way, I've been on the phone with Kylie. Let me get it. Kylie Crossnow. Okay, Kylie Crossnow is the chairman of the Mississippi County Republican Party, and I'm trying to get her on air, trying to get an interview that we can get scheduled to do something soon. But I have an email that was sent to Kylie Crossnow by a man by the name of Doug Smith. Does that name ring a bell? Does a name by the name of Doug Smith ring a bell to anybody? Let's see. Let's read the email first. Let's go ahead and show it to our listeners who are watching at Facebook Live, paulharrell.com, as well as YouTube. There it is. We've blacked out the email addresses and things like that because we don't want anybody to have their email address out there that they don't want out there. But you do see it is to Kylie, the chair, and it probably could have been to a bunch of other people as well. I'm assuming it was, and it's also, by the way, it's carbon copy to that name there, Don. We're going to get to why that's there, and you're going to understand the intimidation tactics. Our whiteboard was already going to be under pressure just because of the establishment. They are under pressure. Well, now they're not only under pressure, they're now applying that pressure, demanding fealty, demanding loyalty at all costs. I stand by the things that I said yesterday, or the things I said last week about the whole deal about inviting and disinviting. And so I know we were not wrong on that now. I know we aren't. And at this point, it just is what it is, folks. I'm sorry if the facts are uncomfortable. I really am. I'm sorry if they're uncomfortable. But here's what Doug Smith wrote to the chairman of the Mississippi County Republican Party. I've worked very hard to help get Republicans elected, and being a lifelong resident of Mississippi County until 2000, I'm very troubled that the county party would have a guest speaker at the Lincoln Day dinner that would bash and criticize our elected Republican officials. If you would look at Jan Morgan's Facebook page, she daily brags about bashing our governor and has also in the past done this to other elected Republican officials. If Republicans disagree, it should be done respectfully and behind closed doors, and when the doors open, we should be united. This is why the Democrat Party has always been so powerful. They stay united. Yeah, we're not so united right now, though, are we? I got this email, don't I? Republicans should not take the stage to degrade and bash other Republican elected officers. If you disagree with policy or have a different approach to policy, then that is fine. But to try and tear down another person's character is not acceptable, which is, hang on a sec, Doug. Hang on, Douglas. Policy and character, those are two different things. If you're criticizing somebody's policy, that's not criticizing their character necessarily, unless they have a policy of, doing something that's just morally wrong. His email went on. This is my personal opinion, and have heard from several other Republicans who feel the same way. This type of stuff will destroy the Republican Party of Arkansas. I have spoken to several who are pulling their support for Reagan Day and Lincoln Day dinners in Arkansas because of speakers that are bashing our current elected officials. Thank you, Doug Smith. Now, come on. This is only because of Asa Hutchinson. Do you know why Doug Smith is writing this email? On September 17th, by the way. This was written yesterday. September 17th. Let's see who Doug Smith is. He works in the governor's office. There he is. On what is that website, Joe? Is that it's a transparency website? ARK. Okay, yeah. So here it is. Douglas Smith. He works for the office of the governor. He is making $50,107 a year and 62 cents. He began in January of 2015. So this is the guy. And so when I hear other people who have called me and said, "Hey, Paul, this is we're getting phone calls from the governor's office." Well, this is the guy. This is the guy from the governor's office who, in the name of Asa Hutchinson, is now bullying and trying to railroad over people's local Lincoln Day dinners. Lincoln Day dinners, Reagan Day dinners, trying to bulldoze over everything. So let's just be clear here. I mean, yeah, we could talk, and kudos to the Mississippi County Republicans, who apparently looks like they're going to go ahead and have Jan Morgan speak anyway. I mean, that's the last I heard of it, is that it didn't matter what Asa wanted. It doesn't matter what Doug Smith. Oh, by the way, I saw on Facebook where Doug Smith was asked if he's been pressuring county committees to not have Jan Morgan speak. Do you know what he said on Facebook? He said, no, I've gotten calls about it, but I haven't been pressuring. I haven't been doing anything. I haven't been, He flat out denied it on a Facebook post, and I don't have that right here with me, but I've seen it. Flat out denied it. Well, look at this. I have an email. I have an email that says, you're wrong. I have an email that says Doug Smith, Office of the Governor, is, in fact, contacting county committee. And who knows? I don't know. Did he contact the Craighead County Committee? I don't know. I'm actually, this is all so, this is all so fluid right now because I got all this information within the last hour and a half, and I had to draw my whiteboard. I had to do a ton of stuff in the process of getting all of this together. But point is, this is serious. Like, Asa Hutchinson is seriously concerned. He is seriously worried about people. And look, I think this is all kind of like this. It's all been boiling over for a long time. You ask some of these county people. You ask some of these county chairmen. And I'll tell you what, at a Conduit for Action, Mr. Josh Waters, who's been going to all these county committees, and he's been telling them, how the Republican leadership is really behaving, what they're actually doing. And it's fascinating because a lot of people already know, a lot of people don't know, and they're getting educated and they're getting mad. But can you imagine if you're one of these lifelong county committee person that you've served, you've knocked doors when the Republican Party and their ideas were irrelevant in the state of Arkansas? Can you imagine if you're learning of the voting records and some of the stuff that's going on down there that's the complete opposite of what you knocked doors for 30 years, right? And on top of that, you try to have a speaker in like Jan Morgan, who is articulate, conservative, and knows a lot more about your freedoms and liberties than just the Second Amendment, and you have now the Republican governor or one of his henchmen trying to put pressure on you to cancel the event over in Mississippi County? This is unbelievable. Will you throw the email back up just so those of you just joining us? This is ridiculous. Here's the email. Here's the email that was sent on September 17th. And it's addressed to the chairman of the Mississippi County Republicans, Kylie Crossnow. Now, and this is the and I've had to do some digging on this, but do you see this other? All right, look, my mom's from Mississippi County, right? My mom's from Blytheville, right? My grandparents, when I was growing up, I've lived in Jonesboro all my life, but when I was growing up, my grandparents lived in Blytheville before they moved, before they moved here. And they're no longer with me, but I would always go to Blytheville. I know about it. If you want to do anything in Blytheville, if you want to host an event in Blytheville, I have a cousin I remember that was married there. You've got to do it at the Holiday Inn. It's the only venue in Blytheville to do anything at. It's the venue that they're planning to host Jan Morgan at here in a couple of weeks. I'm told that this Mr. Houseworth is the owner. So not only do you have Doug Smith pressuring the Mississippi County Republican Party, you now have the owner who could cancel the event if he wanted to and just say, you're not having it at my venue, like that. Do you understand the pressure that's being applied here? It's not just to the county committees. They're also now trying to disrupt the venues that the local Republican parties that they're saying you can't be conservative. No, we demand total 100% fealty. And the conservative state legislators who are out there right now listening to this, the conservative ones, you know what you should tell your county committees? This is how we feel every day down at the Marble Palace. The kind of pressure that you're getting now is the kind of pressure that we get when we don't want to vote the way the governor wants us to, because when the governor's asking us to vote for progressivism and liberalism, and right now the governor is asking these county committees to reject conservatism in the form of speech, in the form of conservative ideas. No, we don't want that at our county committees. You can't have that. This is totalitarianism. This is soft tyranny here, folks. They want absolute fealty to Asa Hutchinson. And tactics like this, it's no wonder with tactics like this why they won't ask Jake Files to resign. We got to take a break. You're listening to the Paul Harrell program. We got to go back in just a moment.
Buy, sell, and trade at Triple R Pawn in Ash Flat. Firearms, computers, sporting goods, musical instruments, tools, jewelry, and everything else you can think of. It's all at Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat. Gun enthusiasts, log on now to triplrpawn.com and browse their amazing inventory. That's triplrpawn.com. You can also call them at 870-994-PAWN. That's 870-994-7296. Let the great team at Triple R Pawn help you find what you're looking for. That's Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat, triplrpawn.com, or call 870-994-PAWN.
Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org, and stand up for small business in Arkansas.
Do you need to advertise your business product or service, but not sure what the best choice is? Folks, allow me to introduce you to Talk Radio. You're listening to it right now. Talk radio is one of the most unique mediums in all of advertising because it actually works. It gets the information you want to the people you want to get it to. And by the way, those people are educated, well-informed decision makers of their household, and most of them have disposable income. If this is a target audience for your business, then you have to consider advertising on my show, The Paul Harrell Program. We have options for most any budget and can provide you with exciting opportunities to grow your business. We can put your message across the state, or we can help you locally. Call 870-275-9755 if you have any questions. That's 870-275-9755, or visit my website, paulharrell.com, and click on Advertise.
Broadcasting across Arkansas and holding politicians accountable for what they say and do. The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to, I'm trying to get my head around some things. It's been an exhausting day, if I'm honest about it. The phone number, 870-275-9799. Interesting stuff here. I want to talk about this the Centerton special election briefly again for our Northwest Arkansas audience. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, you had basically 200 people out of 7,000 people that showed up to raise your taxes or maintain the current tax base. I mean, that's unacceptable. Once again, you can thank James Sturch for that. I mean, really and truly, just thank James Sturch for that. And what else do we have? For some reason, my internet is just going haywire right now. Also, I see that Dan Douglas, our good friend Dan Douglas from Bentonville, has announced that he going to run for re-election, okay? Now, he's a cattle farmer, commercial real estate manager who wears Wranglers and has conversations with himself at urinals. This is who Dan Douglas is, and these are in his own words. The state representative Dan Douglas never met a tax increase that he doesn't like because he's doing the best he can for the state of Arkansas, okay? Main Street is bleeding, right? So he's running for re-election. You know, interestingly enough, who's not running for re-election? State Senator Jeremy Hutchinson, one of the governor's nephews, has announced he's out. He's done. Not running in 2018, Senator Hutchinson says. Previously, he had said, yeah, I'm going to try to run. You know, he's being primaried by Kim Hammer, Republican in the House. Now Senator Hutchinson says, I've changed my mind. I want to go fishing with my brother. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That was John Woods. I'm sorry. That was John Woods who was saying that. He's what he said when he decided not to run for re-election. He was actually, I'm sorry, let me clarify, that he wanted to go fishing with his brother to spend more time fishing and doing things like that. He said that as a reason before he was indicted for stealing your money and my money in a GIF kickback scheme. Right. Senator Jeremy Hutchinson is resigning because, what does he say? I just don't have the fire in my belly to spend 9 months campaigning. I've got a law practice, and I can't afford to spend the time doing that. And I don't want to do that with my new wife. Oh, he recently got married. Okay. So it's still a family thing. So we're one nephew down. We're one nephew down. You've got Uncle Asa, you've got nephew Jim Hendren, and you've got nephew Jeremy Hutchinson. So, yeah, I guess we're going to be one nephew down, but have you read where Kim Hendren is not running for re-election? And we're going to have, is another Hendren running in the place, right? Is it Jim Hendren's sister who's going to be running in place of her father, Kim Hendren? So that would now mean that instead of uncle, nephew, and nephew, we're going to be uncle, nephew, and niece in it now at the. This is just an observation, right? Just an observation about all of this stuff. Folks, the telephone number is 870-2759. And I hear she's an attorney, too. 870-275-9799. Here's hoping that she's a conservative, though, a true conservative. So anyway, something to think about. Folks, earlier today, you know what I did? We filmed our second Wednesday Weekly video, and it's going to be released for our Patreon subscribers, our Wednesday Weekly. And you should check it out, because this week's video is going to be something that you're not going to find anywhere else. I can promise you that. Yeah, it's going to be humorous and comical. But we're releasing the 2017 Impression of the Session montage. It's a 34-minute exclusive video of all of the legislators that I've interviewed, asking them what the problem is, essentially. What's the impression of the session, right? What's the deal with massive Republican majorities, a supermajority in the House, a near supermajority in the Senate, and we're raising taxes on people. And so to hear the critique, one after the next, after the next, after the next, you hear this, and you realize, wow, we got some serious problems. That's out at patreon.com/thephp. Back in just a moment.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
You know, some of the liberal progressive policies that have been going on, the out-of-control spending. But more than that, I mean, back during the session, you were a key player. You testified before the House committee when they were, about to pass something that was, anti-Second Amendment. They, of course, were saying it was pro-Second Amendment. You were in the thick of things trying to fight for Second Amendment rights down at the Marble Palace. Mm-hmm. And so you have a firsthand account here. Do you think maybe they didn't want you to talk about some of the problems when we have these massive Republican majorities?
Paul, I don't want to speculate. I'm just not one of those kind of people. I will say this, because I'm an upfront kind of person. I don't like political games. I detest corruption. I really have an issue with establishment, Republican bullying, and politics. And I think that what we're seeing here on the state level is a lot of what we've seen happening on the national level. Donald Trump was to the establishment Republican Party what I think the establishment in the state of Arkansas says Jan Morgan is to them. I don't know that, but I do know that when you say that some of my positions are controversial, I'm genetically conservative. My parents will tell you that. I was conservative in the womb. So if the Republican Party doesn't like strong conservative values and principles, and I stand for the Republican Party platform. What's controversial about that? They may have been afraid that I was going to deliver an attack speech, and that wasn't my desire at all. In fact, I've delivered speeches at a number of Republican Party events around the state within the past few months, and in every case, Paul, I got a standing ovation. And I was not on attack mode. What I did was talk about how this is an exciting time in our state, in our country, because the Republican Party has the ball. The people of this state have handed us the ball. People who never voted in their lives came out and voted in this election for Donald Trump. And really, to those people, Paul, I can tell you, it wasn't about Donald Trump. They were trying to send a message that it's time to restore the power back to the people. And they are tired of establishment politics. They're tired of business as usual. They want less regulation. They want less government control. They want smaller government, lower taxes. These are the kinds of things that people were trying to send with their message. I personally know so many people, my husband included, who hasn't voted in 2 decades, who voted in this election for Donald Trump. And so my message to Republicans is, are you listening? Look, we have all these new people in the party. We need to capitalize this. They're watching us. Let's show them that Arkansas is a better place to live with conservatives in power. My speech was designed to be a motivational. Let's remember what the Republican platform is all about, and let's follow that platform, and let's show people that conservative values, those very principles that our founding fathers put down for us, laid out for us, that helped our country become a world superpower. That's what we need to revert back to. And when I was in Arkansas, the state capital, we have so many great Republican leaders. We truly do. People like Senator Linda Collins Smith. Man, is that lady a bulldog conservative? I love her. Totally. Brian King, Terry Rice, Scott Lippo. These are people who are stronghold Republicans who have not let the people in their district down, who sent them to office to vote Republican Party lines and conservative values. But we've got on the state level, just like we do on the national level, some Republicans who have leaned too far
Text Paul now,
to the left.
870-275-9799.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The number 870-275-9799. I want to welcome back to the program. We got the senator from District 5, Brian King, is with us. Brian, welcome back, sir.
Hey, good to be on, Paul.
I want to talk about the Arkansas Legislative Council or Committee or whatever met on Friday, and I understand there's a $300,000 contract in play. What can you tell us about all this?
Well, once again, it's another task force. There's some well-meaning people in it trying to do what they can, but these tax farces it's just so ridiculous. It would be a joke if it wasn't costing taxpayer money. I mean, at a time that you're turning out, bad people out of jail without service and sentences, hardly at all. You've got a crime problem, epidemic crime problem, with no solution from Asa Hutchinson other than a bunch of talk and another task force, and shoving everything off on the poor feds that are overburdened anyway, law enforcement, and that's basically what he's doing. He has no solution for it, nothing. And we're not even taking care of the truly needy on the disabled list. He's wanting to raise taxes for highways, everything else. Now we're going to spend $300,000 of people's hard-earned tax dollars on another consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Now understand, Paul, I've been down there 11 years. You know what? We've got an excellent staff people to help get information. You have the National Conference of State Legislators out there that have staff people to help get information about what's going on. You have a lot of different groups and organizations that you can bring in. If you really want to study this issue, once again, we're paying $300,000 to another consultant at a time when we could be spending that money on things far, far more better. Total waste of money. But, of course, this legislature just wants to continue to spend.
So let me rephrase. The premise of my question was a little misinformed. So it was the task force on taxes. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, it was them that hired this $300,000 consultant to help them figure out how to raise more revenue for the state to cover their spending problems. But it was the Legislative Council on Friday that had to approve it, so I brought it up just to try to pull it out and have a discussion. No, there was a few of us that, once again, there's a few of us looking out for the taxpayers. The rest of them go with Jim Hendren and want to spend the hell out of the money, And at the time, like I said, when we need to...
Uh-oh. Brian? Yeah, I think we lost him. Here, go ahead and clear the line so you can call back. This was, I'm going to see, I'm going to text him real quick that we lost you. Call back, which I'm sure he will, but you never know. He needs to know that we lost him. He may still be talking. You ever that happen? Did that happen to you? You're talking to yourself for 5 minutes before you get a phone call back, and you're in. Yeah. Yeah, so he'll realize that at some point. Anyway, the phone number, 870-275-9799, 870. On that Centerton thing with the special election, 200 people voted total out of a population of like 7,000, and the registered voters were, I don't know what they said in the paper, basically half of that. 150 people voted to raise taxes on the 7,000 people. Now, you think that's fair? Special elections have got to go. This is ridiculous. Anyway, we're joined now back with Senator Brian King. Sorry about that, sir.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's on mine or your end, but basically, Legislative Council approved this $300,000 that this tax force committee wants to spend. And once again, we're spending $300,000 of your tax dollars on another consultant at a time they want to raise taxes on the internet and raise taxes for highways, but they can send $300,000 to a consultant.
Unbelievable. Yeah, at some point, and if you were to ask them, I feel like if you were to ask them to cut, like if they had to cut $300,000, I just don't think they can. We need to cut millions of dollars from what we're spending. But, the idea of them not going ahead with this is at the end of the world to them. It's inconceivable to most of the people down there to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like when they came back with these possible part-time, work requirements and rolled people off, and that's their goal. Well, that was good, but the reality is when you have 300-something thousand, rolling off 50, 60,000 of their estimates, which if you know anything about Jonathan Dismaying, the one thing about his estimates is they're all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, they hire his best friend as, you give a lot of money to Blue Cross, they'll hire, Dismaying's best friend. But I'm telling you, they have to be making much, much more drastic measures right now in state government, but they can't even don't even want to have a discussion on stopping $300,000 for another consultant, which if you need a consultant to look over it, this has been looked at before. We've had committees look over this before. We have staff people. If you need $300,000, on a committee, you don't need to pay that. And Josh Miller brought up, well, how about looking at spending? Well, Senator Hendren, all-time record spending Hendren, for, senator, says, well, we already looked at spending. Well, he's right. They did. And they spent and spent and spent. Again, record spending levels set in Arkansas. And, it's just another thing of how they just keep going and keep spending now.
Yeah. Real quick, Brian, I got to correct the record. Something I said when you dropped the call. I went off to the Centerton special election where 150 people voted. There's actually 7,000 registered voters in that town. It's a population of 12,000. I got it reversed just a second ago, so I want to correct the record. Hey, Brian, let me ask you this. I just broke a story where Jan Morgan got uninvited last week from the Cricket County Republican Committee, and that they denied that it was because of pressure. And now I have an email from Doug Smith, who works out of the governor's office, that he is trying to pressure the Mississippi County Republican Party to not have Jan Morgan speak there. So we do know at least now one county is being pressured to not let her speak. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, get ready for the Hutchisons. They sit there and even with me, they try to do everything to discredit. J.R. Davis gets on Ellswick and says, Brian King's misleading people, won't specifically say what I've said that's wrong. I go out and say everything. I line out the facts and figures, and he says I'm wrong and doesn't come back. But I'm telling you what, the Hutchisons, you're going to see the dirtiest bunch of politics out of these people, because you know what? They've done a horrible job. You sit there and have all the things that we've talked about, you've talked about on your show, about what's been going on in Little Rock and all the corruption, and you start having all these things come up in the news, unfortunately, and you know what? The Hutchisons are all around it. And they're in power. And yet Asa Hutchinson never speaks out against any of that or does anything. It takes a monumental thing to force him to say it. And then Jim Hendren in the caucus, which I don't agree with, said, well, recent revelations, Paul, have brought us to do this statement.
Talk about Jake
What
Files.
recent revelations have you been ignoring? And, they just keep wanting to cover it up. But get ready for the Hutchisons, because they know to hold on to power, they've got to do the most dirtiest politics out there possible.
This is something you would see from the Democrats. We got the email up on the screen right now.
It's dirty politics. It's the Hutchisons. It's just the way they are. And, them, Jonathan Dismang, a lot of them, all they know, they can't take you on the facts. They don't want to come on the Paul Harrell program and talk about this or that.
No, they don't.
It's just like we go back to SB 96. We said all along it wasn't going to end Medicaid. What did Jim Hendren do? Sit there and said, oh, no, it was, and everything like that? It never intended was to do it. It did, So they don't want to do that. They just want to call you names. They want to sit there and say you're wrong. They want to sit there and say you're angry. They want to say, they want to just sit there and say all this stuff. And it's dirty politics. They cannot continue to hide the truth. It's oozing out. Despite the press not covering it down there, it's oozing out.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
And they're afraid of Jan Morgan. They're afraid of the truth. So what do? That's the kind of cowardly stuff they do to try and keep people from knowing the truth.
Yeah, it really is. We're talking with Senator Brian King. I've got this email up on the screen here, and what Doug Smith, who makes $50,000 a year, working out of the governor's office. This is basically his henchman trying to do this, and I wonder if he's doing it other places. But he says that if Republicans disagree, they should do it behind closed doors and present a united front. Now, that's obviously not the philosophy that you subscribe to, Brian King. You call a spade a spade, and you call people out if they need to be called out.
Yeah, it's so wrong that Jonathan Dismang, he passes legislation, and then a few months later, Blue Cross Blue Shield, who now we give almost $1 billion a year to, hires his best friend as consultant. You just need to keep your mouth shut. That's what Doug Smith is talking about, folks. Doug Smith's talking about when you see corruption down there in Little Rock and you see something wrong, you keep your mouth shut. You don't go tell people. And you know what? When you go out there and start telling people, what do? They go try and tell where you're going to go to speak. They try and say, I'm supposed to speak at the Washington County Committee meeting tomorrow night and outline everything. And you know what? They're going to have their minions there. They're going to have their people there. And they're going to have, as I'm already seeing, Bob Ballinger out there misleading people. And they're going to try and do whatever they can to keep the truth from being told about them. But unfortunately, it's oozing out, finally. And that's what that's what this Doug Smith's saying. He's saying, folks, you know what? If you see something wrong, you just come tell us. And you know what? We've done that. And you know what? It hasn't changed.
Yeah. Well,
it's just still the same, and you're going to still see Hutchison's hired. They want to keep Hutchison hired on retainer fees.
Yeah.
And, keep getting checks. And I keep speaking out about all this Medicaid money that these guys vote on, that all of a sudden, Paul, winds up back in their pockets, their own personal pockets, folks. But Doug Smith and Asa Hutchinson, they want you to keep quiet about it.
Hey, let me ask you this, because I'm hearing about all these indictments that are going to eventually come down. And Brian, I thought of you, not about the indictment, but I thought of you the other day because my source told me that some of this stuff with the rumors about the FBI, it may go beyond GIF, and it may actually involve the Medicaid money you're talking about here. And I thought about how you have tried several times to just pass a Medicaid disclosure bill that would require people to have to say how much money they're getting from Medicaid, your healthcare entities. And I think now, if what I'm hearing is true, we kind of know why they didn't want to pass your bill.
Sure. That's why Jim Hendren. I told Jim Hendren. He talks about integrity. I said, Jim, you tried to stop it. He's tried to stop it. They haven't done nothing.
Yeah.
Asa Hutchinson didn't do anything. And let me tell you something. My bill would have took care of what's already been out there, Paul. If they would have took GIF money and then turned around and gave it to a Medicaid entity, and that Medicaid entity then gave money back to the legislator, they would have had to disclose that under my bills and efforts that I've had to do.
You can't.
But you know what? They don't want to disclose it.
No.
Jim Hendren doesn't want it disclosed. So the little establishment down there doesn't want it. It just throws the top off their little party that they've been having down there. And like I said, this Doug Smith, I haven't seen the email yet, but based on what you're saying, what he's saying is, folks, you know what? If you see something wrong and corruption and something that just ain't right, you keep your mouth shut. That's what it boils down to them saying.
Yeah, because they're afraid of somebody like, Jan Morgan just going up there and just telling them what has happened. She's firsthand witnessed what happened with Second Amendment stuff down there and what the governor did and everything else. And not on top of all that, she's now aware of all the tax increases and things like that have gone on, and how much money they're trying to take from the people, fleecing us year after year. And I think she's fed up. I know you're fed up, Brian King. Hey, I gotta ask you, are you thinking about, have you made a decision yet about whether to run for re-election or not yet?
No, I haven't. Just still sitting here looking at things, and I really don't know, to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean, I'm still looking at it, and this is just still too early to decide. I mean, Bob Ballinger's out there misleading people already and acting like Captain Conservative, when the truth about his record and him playing with Asa down there and going back and forth and jumping all over different sides, and as we've pointed out in the Twitter deal, when you point out Bob Ballinger, and contradict him with the truth about it, next thing you know, he starts attacking me and blaming me. I mean, if you remember back to his tweets, when he got hit with the truth,
You're talking
his whole answer was, it was my fault.
You're talking about his support for SB 96.
And other bills. Yeah. I mean, it was like, well, if I would have showed more leadership. So, folks, all of Bob Ballinger's bad votes is Brian King's fault. I mean, and how come Ballinger fought all the Medicaid disclosure stuff?
Did he really?
Oh, absolutely he did.
So he didn't support this last effort.
No.
He didn't support it. Now, was he the chairman of that committee? That
He was the chair of that committee. He was gone one day, but he made it known to members that he was not supporting it. He made it clear. He said, lawyers should be untouchable. We should be special privileged people.
Wow.
He has made that very, very clear.
And we didn't get
that lawyers should be special down there.
Did we get a roll call on that? Do you know?
Yeah, we got roll calls. James Sturch never supported it. And then we find out, guess what? Jake Files gets $80,000 wired to him by somebody that sits on a health services permitting board appointed by Asa Hutchinson. So, I mean, we would have already known these things has James Sturch stepped up and done what's right. But they protect these people. That's just what I'm saying down there. You may not have everybody down there corrupting everything, but you have a lot of them that have been protecting these people.
So I'm trying to remember, Brian, the day that your bill that did get out of the Senate committee that would have made Medicaid disclosure a thing, and it did get out of the full Senate, and then it died in the House committee. And you're saying which committee? Okay.
House state agencies.
State agencies, and that was Bob Ballinger.
Yeah, Bob Ballinger made it clear and supported. He has publicly made it clear that lawyers are special and privileged.
Well,
Paul.
I want to remind the folks that this bill was so hated that at one of the House committee the House committee meetings, somebody made a motion to do not pass, which never happens.
Woodlaw,
never have
according to his side, has a medical health supply company.
Yes, he does. He does have a medical health
supply company. And where is Missy Irvin on this? She's opposed it too. She goes out and tells people, yeah, she's for this stuff, but folks, when it gets down there in Little Rock, they do something else. And then when you sit there and criticize or say something different, well, guess what? Here comes the slander. Here comes the dirty politics. Here comes everything. Folks, they don't want to tackle the issue, okay? They want to they want to destroy the person saying it. That's the Hutchison way of doing things right now.
Yeah.
And the establishment way down there.
Unbelievable.
They want to destroy the person. They don't want to talk about the problem, the issue, get that out in front of people. They want to sit there and mislead people. And then turn around and destroy the person, just like this Mississippi County deal.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we'll see what else they do. They're going to try to do something. I mean, right now, just the fact that I've reported it means that there's going to be more bullying. I mean, these are the type of guys that double down. They believe they have full authority and that they have the right, they think, to demand and expect complete loyalty to everything that the governor wants. And the local parties are sick of it, I'll tell you that much.
And remember when we spoke out against Davy Carter multiple times and all this, and he's a Republican and everything, I heard that Davy Carter's now a registered Democrat.
I believe I heard that too. That he switched in January to becoming a registered Democrat, the former Arkansas Republican Speaker of the House.
Yeah, and you have nothing from Dole Webb. Dole Webb has had missed opportunities to speak up and say something and stick up the party and do what's right.
He really has. And the fact that Doyle Webb hasn't called for Jake Files to resign is unbelievable to me. I can't. I don't understand that.
But look at the money connections. I mean, folks, when you start talking about the money connections out there, things make sense. And I'm telling you what, they have put this state into trouble. Like I said, we have an epidemic crime problem and no money, no solutions from Asa Hutchinson, other than to criticize and stop Brian King from actually taking measures to do that.
Senator Brian King, I appreciate it. Thank you for being so outspoken about this, because it really does shine a light. And there are more and more people every day who are listening to this program and other outlets like it, and they're getting the truth. So we just got to keep trucking, okay?
Yeah. Folks, get ready for the dirtiest politics you've ever seen. Personal. They want to destroy the people out there trying to get you the truth more than they want to tackle the issue.
Brian King, I appreciate it, sir.
All right, thanks, Paul.
All right, folks, got to take a break. Back in a minute.
Good morning. Good morning. Congratulations, you have made it to the Bureau of Carefully Crafted Language, where we strive to offer politicians the very best in ambiguously specific language, the purpose of which is to allow our politician bosses to grow government and keep their constituents in the dark. This yields two beneficial outcomes. First, the government-growing politicians stay in office, and second, we at the Bureau of Carefully Crafted Language get to remain in the shadows and get to keep our jobs. Now, it's time for technocrat training drills. Johnny?
Yes?
A politician wants to use the healthcare system to punish those who have and redistribute their wealth. What is the appropriate language to use in this situation to make an unpopular idea acceptable to the public?
I would emphasize that these ideas would make their healthcare more affordable and make sure the public understands if they already have adequate healthcare, nothing will change for them.
Very good, Johnny. Much progress since last time. Next up, let's have Susie. Susie, your politician has been caught in, dare I say it, a lie.
What kind of a lie?
It doesn't really matter, but in the spirit of the Bureau of Carefully Crafted Language, I will give you a good hypothetical scenario. Dozens of politicians have been thrown out of office for supporting a socialist health care program. So the remaining politicians get together and they pass a bill to, quote, end the program, end quote. But they really want to keep it. What should they do, Susie?
May I ask a question for more information?
Certainly.
Has the word lie been used by the political opposition?
Yes.
I know. They should change the name of the program. Maybe use the word works to make the sheeple think it's for working folk. Then they should go on the attack and get the public distracted. I would advise the politician to publicly question why our political dialogue has become so uncivilized and tell them to claim using the word lie, no matter how accurate, is a personal attack on his or her character. And if they admit to any wrongdoing at all, they must replace the word lie with words like misspoke, misstatement, misrepresent, or mislead.
Amazing! Excellent work, Susie. I feel like the student has really become the teacher. You will make a terrific addition to the Bureau of Carefully Crafted Language.
All hands on deck. This is a Bureau of Carefully Crafted Language emergency. Several politicians are scrambling after being exposed by some talk radio host. Let's move it, people. They need our help.
The Bureau of Carefully Crafted Language. You vote 'em in, and we keep 'em in. PHP Parody.
All right, folks, welcome back. Thanks so much for being with us on this Monday. We appreciate you guys being with us. The telephone number, call us, text is 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799. What an eventful hour. Obviously, Brian King always tells it like it is. And a lot of people asking me, they're saying, Paul, in your screenshot of this email that was addressed to the Mississippi County chair, from Doug Smith, $50,000 employee of the governor, why have you blacked out his email address? Like, why have you done it? A lot of people asking me. And the reason his email, because people are saying, was that a government email? Did he send it from an official government email? And I can tell you that the answer is no. It appeared to me to be a personal email, and I didn't want to put somebody's personal email out there. You know, I just wanted you to know that he did send the email. And in doing so, and again, he's also copying the owner of the Holiday Inn in Mississippi County, trying to, I'm assuming, pressure the owner of the Holiday Inn to cancel the event in its entirety just because the governor's office doesn't want it to take place. And you heard Brian King say, get ready, right? Get ready for a very contentious season. Political season, if you will. Folks, that's the music. So I've got one more hour coming your way next. For our listeners listening on the great affiliate Kerm, you guys have, if you want, there's another hour that you can listen to. You go to paulharrell.com. That's paulharrell.com. It's free. We're streaming. We got an audio-only button. Or join us on Facebook Live, facebook.com/paultalkshow. facebook.com/paultalkshow. And everything's available for free. Video archives, everything at paulharrell.com. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to be back in just a moment.
Rush, Glenn, Sean, and Paul. This is Jonesboro's 1013 FM News Talk, KBTM.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
My whole point in judiciary, I was trying to fight those Republicans who were voting like Democrats on 2A issues, but it's not just 2A, it's across the board. We've got to fix that, Paul.
Yeah.
And so that was my message, and I guess it's one that the strongholds of Republicans at Craighead County did not want the people to hear. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well,
that's all I can assume because canceling on me was not the professional thing to do. I think the right thing to do after they've invited me and promoted me would just be to simply say, hey, okay, folks, we've got 3 speakers now. We have a lot of stuff going on, and it does sound like a great event. So let's limit our speakers to 15 minutes each. And I do, in spite of all this, Paul, I wish them the best for their event. I'm a strong Republican conservative, and I will always be.
All right. You were talking with Jan Morgan, and I really do appreciate your attitude about all of this because, it really is a congenial one. And, I really think the people of Arkansas, what they've been voting for is reform. And I think a lot of that reform has been ignored in the Republican establishment. And me being from Craighead County, living here, that's where I do the show, I kind of know some of the players involved in the Craighead County Republican Committee. And so, I mean, if I had a list, I could probably tell you which ones I think are more beholden to the establishment and might have listened to people saying, hey, don't let Jan Morgan speak. But I want to talk about the committee process real quick because I know you were over in western Arkansas. I saw that Facebook Live, and you were down at the Capitol, as I mentioned earlier, and you were just as frustrated as I am about how the committee process works. It's where good bills go to die, and nobody ever knows how somebody voted most of the time. They don't go on record because they don't have to record the votes. What are your thoughts on that?
And that's one of the things I've mentioned in every one of my speeches to the Republican Party is, look, we need to show the people that we support transparency in government. We support that. And one of the issues I saw when I was in the trenches at the state capitol is we have this thing called group voice vote in judiciary. And part of the way for Republicans and Democrats to just say yay or nay, and you can't tell how they voted because it's as a group. And in fact, there have been some mistakes made in what the majority was in those votes, which have been clearly discovered. But my point is, and what I'm asking Republican legislators to do, is since apparently we can't change the rules, the people of this state have a right at any given time to log on to arkansas.gov website and see how their representative voted on every single issue in judiciary, because we know that good bills live and die in judiciary. And so it's too easy with a group voice vote for legislators to just go back to their districts and not be honest with their people and say, well, I voted the way you wanted me to, but it just didn't make it out of judiciary. I want the people to be able to see a recorded vote. So what I'm asking Republicans to do is, since we can't change the rules apparently, Republicans, our legislators, the good guys, simply raise your hand in judiciary on every issue and say, I would like a roll call vote. And that way the people can always see that their representative voted the way they asked them to. Because after all, these legislators, and that's what I wanted to remind them, you are not here to serve the will of the governor. You have to go back and face an electorate. You represent the people who elected you. You are their servant. You don't go back and dictate to them, well, this is what we're going to do. They're more afraid, these legislators, what I found at the state capitol is they were more afraid of the wrath of the governor if they didn't vote his will than they were facing their constituency knowing that their vote was recorded. And that's a shame. I hate that. So these are some things that I'm wanting to see change. I want Republicans to show the public, the people of Arkansas, that we are better than this. We are going to be transparent, and that we want the people to have the power in this state. We are there to serve them.
Well, I just want to say, Jan, I so appreciate you coming on the show, and I've been watching your Facebook over the last month or so, and I really appreciate
just the last month or so?
Well,
really?
no. Just okay. I've been watching it over the last month or so about how it is. You've been drawing attention to Arkansas specific issues concerning things like spending and things like just overall general broad policies that need changing.
Right.
And I just
Right.
I appreciate the megaphone that you're putting to that because a lot of people are really knowledgeable because they follow
Right.
you on Second Amendment issues, and it's awesome that they're.
But there is so much more to
Right.
me, Paul, than the Second Amendment, and that's why I've been trying to talk to Republicans about how exciting, what an exciting time this is for us, and we can't afford to fumble the ball. We've got to run with it, and
Yes.
we're going to lose all these new people. If
Yes.
we show them this politics as usual, we're going to lose them, Paul. And I hate to see that. I don't want to see that. One more thing I wanted to add. I did get a call this afternoon from the chair of the Craighead Republican Party, and he said that he would like for me to book me for a speaking engagement at one of their committee meetings in a couple of months. And so I said I would be honored and be glad to come and speak with them. So I think that's the result of the blowback from today. But,
Yeah.
But this was a big event. I was
The maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. We lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Hey, folks, welcome to the program. It's hour number 2. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Paul. You found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality, where we are building a liberty machine. And I want to welcome to the program for the first time. We've got the Republican candidate for Land Commissioner, Mr. Tommy Land, is with us. Tommy, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
Oh, man. So I'm just going to get it out of the way.
Okay.
Your last name is Land, and you're running for Land Commissioner.
Yes, sir, Paul. I was born for the job.
That's a great response. So tell us, why did you want to get in to this race?
Okay. My experience, my life experience, I've been a homeowner since I was 19 years old. I've been involved in real estate, owning it and selling it, and I understand the opportunities that come along with being a property owner. And then my wife became county assessor in Cleveland County, Arkansas. And I got a good idea of how county tax structure works. And as I looked at that county tax structure and I looked at the opportunities that Americans are so blessed to have with the opportunity to own property, own real estate, I started looking at state positions and seeing how they could affect those things in our lives. And the state land commissioner is the office that just came to mind. And I'd met the current land commissioner in 2010. He came to a prayer breakfast at my church. John Thurston.
And he's running for Secretary of State, I believe, in a primary.
That's correct.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's correct. I met John in 2010 at a prayer breakfast at my church, and liked him very well. And I've watched the office since that time. The office has been brought into a situation where I believe they're very transparent. They operate on time. Checks are delivered to the county treasurer when they should be. And as I looked at that, I just made up my mind that I wanted to be involved in that.
Yeah. So tell us, land commissioner. A lot of people may not even know that that's a constitutional office. They don't even know that. And so what do they do? What does a land commissioner do?
Well, I can tell you, Paul, when you walk up to someone and you say, "My name's Tommy Land and I'm running for county judge," they immediately have a good idea of how you're going to affect their life.
Yeah.
When you walk up to someone and say, "My name's Tommy Land and I'm running for land commissioner," you get a blank look on your face, and they say, "That's nice."
Yeah.
And so it's a difficult office to run for in the fact that it's not a well-known office. But the land commissioner's office, probably the number one duty of the land commissioner's office is the disposition of tax delinquent real estate in the state of Arkansas. When property becomes tax delinquent on the county level, about 2 years, the county collector attempts to find someone to pay the taxes. And failing that, then it's certified to the land commissioner's office. And then the land commissioner's office spends another 2 years trying to find someone to pay those taxes. And then it finally comes up for auction in the county where it's located.
So why don't they call your office tax collector then?
Well, because land commissioner sounds a lot more acceptable.
Yeah, doesn't it?
It sure
Hi,
does.
I'm Tommy Landon. I'm running for tax collector. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't want you, buddy. But no, land commissioner's office does that. They also deal with mineral rights on state-owned property, which I believe is it's a growing issue right now, and I believe it's going to continue to grow because the technology in drilling is improving all the time, and I think you'll see areas in Arkansas that we have never drilled in before. I think you'll see them beginning to drill in those, so mineral rights will be a more important issue. And then also the Land Commissioner's Office oversees the permit process for sand and gravel mining in Arkansas rivers.
Okay. Wow. Well, okay. So tell me about, you're running as a Republican. Tommy Land, he's running as land commissioner. You're not ever going to forget that. Tell me about why Republican? Why is the Republican Party? What does that mean to you?
Well, when I first became politically involved, the thing that drew my attention to the Republican Party is this. I am a strong pro-life person. And over the years, my wife and I have both taken a stance, a pro-life stance, and the Republican Party has a pro-life stance.
Yeah.
And so that definitely attracted us to the party. And then as I got to know the Republican Party even better, principles like Second Amendment rights, I'm very strong on the Second Amendment, smaller government, individual liberties. Those are principles of the Republican Party that I tell you are my principles. I am a Republican because of my principles. And the truth is, if the Republican Party sometime in the future should abandon those principles, then I guess I won't be a Republican. I'll be whatever upholds those principles.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. And this is maybe outside of the platform of the Republican Party. This is kind of just more general conservative philosophy. But so one of the jobs of land commissioner, you said, was to, you've got county delinquent taxes. You're talking about property taxes.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then eventually that gets passed on to you. You guys are trying to find it. But it is true that if you don't pay your property taxes, you're eventually going to lose your property, right? I mean, that's correct. The end result.
That is
right?
correct.
So, and I got people that text me and they call me, and they all talk about how they just have a huge problem with property taxes. Now, I know it's I know that I'm not asking. I know it'd be a huge deal to say, hey, we're going to do away with the property. I get all that, and I know it's at a local level and everything. But from a philosophical point of view, a lot of people get upset when they realize that they really never truly own their land. I mean, do you see that? I mean, what are your thoughts on never truly owning your land? Or
I'm not sure that I would really necessarily agree with that statement.
Okay.
But because I unfortunately pay taxes on the groceries I buy, and believe me, they're mine.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do see property taxes. I wish we had another way to pay for county government and county services.
Yeah.
Schools, county roads, things like that. I really do. Because to a certain extent, it almost seems like you are penalizing a person who is a property owner. But it's
it really does. And when you go to vote for the property, everybody gets to vote, but not everybody's going to pay.
That's exactly
That's
right.
always been a problem with me because I know everybody would really freak out if. To me, I would see two options moving forward. These are just my ideas. Only property owners who own the property that's going to be taxed in that area need to be allowed to vote, or everybody that votes for it, we have to divide whatever let's say they're trying to build a school. Well, let's divide that up equally among all the voters.
Sure.
But of course that wouldn't work because nobody would be able to pay it but I mean, it's a fascinating debate, and I'm sure it's going to continue to go on.
And of course, that is the issue of property tax, real estate property taxes, and the millage rate or the minimum millage rate is set in the Arkansas Constitution. So it would take a constitutional amendment to do away with property tax. But it is an issue, and one of the things that the Constitution, the Arkansas Constitution, talks about property taxes, about all taxes. It says that they should be fair and equal. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I tell you what, in my lifetime, as hard as we might try, things just never all seem to work out to where they're truly fair and equal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't like it, and I'm not defending it.
I think that may have something to do with the fact that we're human beings, and we really are incapable of perfection.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. And, I think that's one of the issues with government and the growth in government. When you look at human nature, is it human nature to be involved in something and make it smaller? That's not human nature. Mm-hmm. Human nature is when you're involved in something, you want it to grow, whether it be a church or a business or whatever. Mm-hmm. The thing is, we just have to have people in office that will fight that human nature.
Yeah. No, I agree with that statement. That's exactly right. The benefits of smaller government or the benefits of our liberty are not intuitive. They don't come natural.
I agree.
And that's what was so crazy about the first 100 years of America's existence is, for the most part, for the people here, we wanted to be dependent on ourselves. We didn't want.
That's correct.
But it was the last 100 years that we've kind of just reversed course, and now we do want bigger government. And so it's certainly a mentality shift.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. When you look back at the first 100 years, you see people that were taught by their parents to be individuals and to be self-reliant. And as time went on, and I believe with good intentions, the government became more involved in people's lives. And so people got used to the government providing those things.
It's always the game right there.
And one thing, I just tell you, in our society, we need to encourage parents to be involved in teaching their children to be self-reliant.
Yeah, I completely agree. Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that. Well, last question. We're talking with Tommy Land. He's a Republican candidate for land commissioner. Now, you don't have any opposition right now, right, in the primary?
No, I do have a.
You do?
Yes, I do have an opponent.
Okay, you do have an opponent. Mm-hmm. So tell us, you're in the area, and you're just in the area to campaign, meet some folks. You got some meetings and stuff tomorrow, I'm assuming?
Yes, that's correct. Today, I came up early today, and I visited the fair this afternoon and handed out some campaign literature and talked to some people and met some people there. And here I'll be on your show. Tomorrow morning at 6, I'll be having some breakfast with some folks in eastern Craighead County and enjoying breakfast there. And then tomorrow evening, I will be on my way to Cross County. That's Wynn.
Yeah.
And I have a meeting there tomorrow night there.
All right. Well, making the rounds in Northeast Arkansas. Sounds to me like you're hitting the right places.
I'm trying to.
So, all right. Tommy Land, I appreciate it, sir. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Folks, we're going to go to break. The Liberty Machine rolls on back in a minute.
This is State Representative Dan Sullivan with a Liberty Moment. If all men are created equal, that's final. If they are endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights, that's final. If governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, that's final. No advance, no progress can be made beyond these propositions. If anyone wishes to deny their truth or their soundness, the only direction in which he can proceed historically is not forward but backward, toward the time when there was no equality, no rights of the individual, and no rule by the people.
Paid for by Sullivan for Arkansas.
Buy, sell, and trade at Triple R Pawn in Ash Flat. Firearms, computers, sporting goods, musical instruments, tools, jewelry, and everything else you can think of. It's all at Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat. Gun enthusiasts, log on now to triplrpawn.com and browse their amazing inventory. That's triplrpawn.com. You can also call them at 870-994-PAWN. That's 870-994-7296. Let the great team at Triple R Pawn help you find what you're looking for. That's Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat, triplrpawn.com, or call 870-994-PAWN.
If you're like me, you believe that small business is the heart of Arkansas's economic engine, and it should be viewed that way by the politicians in Little Rock. Conduit for Commerce also believes, like you and I believe, policies that achieve less regulation and lower taxation help small business in Arkansas thrive. Other policies like small, constitutionally consistent government and reducing citizen dependency on government keeps it from growing and expanding its influence on our daily lives. Conduit for Commerce works every day to educate the general public and legislators on these important priorities in the name of Arkansas small business. By the way, contributions to Conduit for Commerce are tax deductible. Log on now to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforcommerce.org. Go there now and learn the facts on protecting small business in Arkansas.
The Paul Harrell Program.
I hear Doug Smith has responded to this email that's out there. Somebody on our Facebook feed took a screen. Joe, somebody on our Facebook feed, they took a screenshot of the Doug Smith email. Now, for those of you just joining us, the bullying and intimidation tactics continue. The news we broke last hour is that Jan Morgan, who has been invited to the Mississippi County Republican dinner, we have an email that is addressed to the chairman of the Mississippi County Republican Committee from the governor's office, or a person that works for the governor, Doug Smith, putting pressure and trying to get the event canceled. That's the way I would characterize it. And what's funny is, right before I got the email, I saw on Facebook that Doug Smith was saying that he is not putting pressure on anybody. And yeah, it's strange. So somebody took a screenshot of the email, posted it on the Facebook thread. See, I'm gonna have to read this. I can't read it all at once. There's just too many. Do what? Does that look like pressure to you? Yeah. So I understand on Facebook, Doug Smith is now saying, if you read the email, okay, so he's acknowledging that it's his. It says, I feel we should not be using these dinners to teach or to tear each other apart, and I had received several calls from people who were pulling support for local dinners, meaning not buying tables and supporting the dinners. Yeah, who's actually doing that? Now, if anything, to see Jan Morgan, the sales are going through the roof. Keeps going. Those of you from Northwest Arkansas have no clue how hard it was to even get anyone to run in Mississippi County and even claim to be a Republican in that area. There were people working very hard to build the party up. I just hate to see people pulling out and not wanting to be a part of it. If people want to disagree and debate on issues, that is fine. I just don't feel like these dinners are the place for that to happen. Again, nowhere does it request that not invite anyone. Then why'd you, it doesn't request that you should invite anybody. You say that Jan Morgan you essentially don't like that Jan Morgan's going to be there. And then, Doug Smith, you say you copy the owner of the venue that it's going to take place at. I don't know, maybe you're wanting him, the owner of the Holiday Inn in Blytheville, to cancel the event altogether? Huh? Is that how things work? No. By the way, isn't the Doug Smith the same guy that was also campaigning for Eddie Joe Williams? Did Doug Smith campaign for Eddie Joe Williams back during that primary? Was he working for the governor's office then, too? Better watch out. We're going to hit a nerve one of these days. There were people working very hard to build the party up. So, I mean, this is what's crazy. When somebody like Doug Smith, employee of the governor, is like, people have worked really hard for the party. We don't need to tear it apart. Well, what have you worked for, Doug? Aside from a paycheck, right? What have you actually worked for, Doug? You know, Yeah, you can work really, really hard on something that starts out with good intentions, but if that thing becomes a behemoth and the very thing that you were working against, trying to defeat in the first place, if you've become what you're trying to defeat, are we then not supposed to criticize it? Are we just good grief. Can these people not realize that man is fallible and we're even more vulnerable when we're in groups? Especially if they're groups that protect each other and refuse to call out discrepancies, hypocrisies. Think about it. Of course we are. If people want to disagree or debate on the issue, that's fine. I just don't feel that these dinners are a place for that to happen. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this is intimidation at its finest here. And, of course, I'm happy to expose it here on the program. And I just have a feeling if this has happened, and I know Craighead County says that this is not what happened with their dinner. I know, I understand. This is not what happened with Craighead County, right? That's what they say. No. We invited her and disinvited her at Craighead County because we just didn't have time for her. This is not what happened at Craighead County. It just is a coincidence that the same thing is now happening in Mississippi County. And I wonder if it's happening in Baxter County. And I think it's a fair, really, it's a good speculation to have right now. What are the odds? Somebody do the odds. Jan Morgan's going to speak at Baxter County on September 30th. What are the odds that this is happening in Mississippi County? It happened, but it didn't happen in Craighead County. What are the odds that it's not happening in Baxter County right now? Anybody? What are the odds? Somebody tell me. This has got to be happening in Baxter County. Emails. Yeah. Can you imagine if Doug Smith had done this on the government email, too? When are people going to say enough's enough? When are people going to say enough's enough, honestly? Why are people scared of ideas? Right? Sometimes people are scared of ideas. Sometimes people don't even disagree with the ideas. They just don't have the faith that the public would understand what the truth of an issue is. You know what I mean? They just fear what uninformed people that have no problem lying to other people might say about you, and they don't have confidence in other people actually believing the truth and learning it because they themselves don't want to go out and articulate what the truth is about the state of Arkansas government. I have an anonymous source from the Baxter County. I have an anonymous source from Baxter County. Listening on KJMT, 97.1 Mountain Talk. Anonymous source from Baxter County says that it is happening. It is happening in Baxter County. I'm also told that there's a resolve and that they will not fold, that they still want to have Jan Morgan. Good for Mississippi County then. Good for Baxter County then. Not so good for Craighead County. If we're all being honest about it, not so good. I appreciate the unified front Craighead County tried to put out, though, but let me just tell you this. I know what the truth is, okay? I know. It's okay. It's not okay, but just saying. I know the truth. It'll be okay eventually. I mean, everything's going to... Well, within reason. The phone number, 870-275-9799. This is soft tyranny. This is the very opposite of a party that claims to be about ideas, big ideas, freedom of speech. It's pretty sad. But again, you have the establishment Republican Party in Arkansas rejecting Jan Morgan from just being able to speak at an event about issues that she knows about and is knowledgeable about, she cares about them, and they won't ask Jake Files to resign. They won't ask Jake Files to resign, who's got a $5 million note attached to his name, and he's in an FBI affidavit. Priorities. The priorities are maintain the power structure for the few. And let's keep bullying the grassroots, the people who are actually on the ground, who actually care about this stuff when they go vote. Let's keep bullying them into submission. Back in a minute.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
We are going to be transparent, and that we want the people to have the power in this state. We are there to serve them.
Well, I just want to say, Jan, I so appreciate you coming on the show, and I've been watching your Facebook over the last month or so, and I really appreciate
just the last month or so.
Well,
really?
No. Just okay. I've been watching it over the last month or so about how it is. You've been drawing attention to Arkansas specific issues concerning things like spending and things like just overall general broad policies that need changing.
Right.
And I just
right.
I appreciate the megaphone that you're putting to that, because a lot of people are really knowledgeable because they follow
right.
you on Second Amendment issues, and it's awesome that they're.
But there is so much more to
right.
me, Paul, than the Second Amendment, and that's why I've been trying to talk to Republicans about how exciting, what an exciting time this is for us, and we can't afford to fumble the ball. We've got to run with it, and
yes.
we're going to lose all these new people. If
yes.
we show them this politics as usual, we're going to lose them, Paul. And I hate to see that. I don't want to see that. One more thing I wanted to add. I did get a call this afternoon from the chair of the Craighead Republican Party, and he said that he would like for me to book me for a speaking engagement at one of their committee meetings in a couple of months. And so I said I would be honored and be glad to come and speak with them. So I think that's the result of the blowback from today. But,
yeah.
But this was a big event. There were a lot of folks going to be there that I was looking forward to speaking with. But hey, way it goes.
Well, and I've got some folks that are telling me that it even wasn't maybe the Republican committee of Craighead County, that it was actually the establishment outside the committee and how it was influenced. I have some text on that right now that I'm reading.
Right. But you know what, Paul, what we need to do is we've got those people with that committee have got to stand up against the establishment. See, I know if there was a fight over this, those people need to stand up and show the establishment. They're going to have to speak out. I can't take on the establishment by myself. I'm willing to step in that boxing ring and try to help around the state. But we've got to have more people bow up and say, you know what? If you're going to do people this way, I'm not going to be a part of this event. Here you go. Take it over. Establishment, you wanted it, take it. Because we've got to have integrity.
Yeah, and they're nothing. They're nothing without They're nothing without the base of the party, and that's what they got to realize. They got to start representing.
Yeah, but the establishment counts on the establishment counts on fear, intimidation tactics, and cowardice to get their way. They count on that. They count on people backing down and saying, "Okay, well, we'll go ahead and do this time, but we're never going to do this again. We're not going to do any more events." They're counting on that because they don't care. At this point, all they want is don't let Jan Morgan have the microphone.
Yeah, that's exactly
because
right.
I might say something conservative.
That's exactly right. Jan Morgan, thank you so much for coming on the program. I'd love to do it again soon. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, Paul.
Thank you. Be safe. Folks, we're going to take a break. The Liberty Machine rolls on. Back in just a moment.
Watch Paul live at paulharrell.com. It's free and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because the Liberty Machine never sleeps.
Okay, so we got it. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to go over this. This is too much fun. This has all happened in the course of 2 hours, okay? This has happened in the course of 2 hours where we are going to expose an employee of Governor Asa Hutchinson as being a liar. That's right, I said it, liar, okay? All right, so check it out. We're scrolling on up here, and so Gary Epperson of the great Patriots of Act 746, he says, "Hey, Douglas Smith, this is the governor's employee that makes it makes $50,000 a year, right, of your money, to go around and intimidate county committees." And by the way, Tim, I pinned your Facebook comment. Tim said, "Well, that's it for emails. There'll be no more emails. There'll just be phone calls. There'll be threatening phone calls. No more threatening emails." Gary Epperson said, "Hey, Douglas Smith, are you the one pressuring these Republican chapters for the governor to cancel out Jan Morgan being the keynote speaker or the speaker?" And let's see here. Douglas Smith replies, "No, sir, I am not. I've received several calls from people in the areas about it, but have nothing to do with any county committees except the one I'm a member of. Was not even aware she had been canceled from one till I saw it on Facebook. Your question says being keynote for governor. I was even unaware she was speaking for the governor. What does that even mean? May want to verify that. Don't really think that is correct." Okay, no. What does his statement say? Keep going up. Go back up to that. What is it? What is he even talking about there? That doesn't make any sense. Are you pressuring these Republican chapters for the governor to cancel Jan Morgan? That's the question. So am I reading something wrong, Joe, on his answer? What is he even talking about? Your question says being asked for the governor. I don't know what he's talking about. But anyway, let's keep going. Then Gary says, Doug is the one confused here. I'm letting it rub off on me. Gary writes, "Just checking, wanted to head off rumors and have it on the record." Wow. And have it on the record. There's no way people are going to think that I didn't plan this. People are going to, stop for a second. People are going to think I had Gary Epperson post this. What did this was 3 hours ago. This was 3 hours ago. I didn't have the leaked email to the Mississippi County Republican chair. I didn't have the leaked email till what, Joe? 3:50? Yeah, like 5-6 minutes before. Because you walked in here and I was I was blacking out email addresses, It's crazy. That's crazy. All right, scroll back down. So Jan Morgan writes on this thread, "Actually, Gary is referring to my 2 speaking engagements at upcoming Republican Party events." Keep going. Yeah, tagging Doug Smith. What is that photo on Doug's? Can we go back? What is that photo? Okay, all right. Jan Morgan and this one, which I am the keynote, that's the Mississippi County one. All right, Gary Epperson says, "Wait, there are more than one incident. I didn't know what was going on." And here's our listener, Rick. Rick writes, takes a screenshot of this program, says, "Apparently Mr. Doug Smith fails to tell the truth," and screenshots the email that I have right here. And so keep scrolling down. What does old Doug say about this? Let's see here. David Ferguson writing, he says, Paul Harrell has Smith's email to the Mississippi County trying to disinvite Jan Morgan. Listening now. Screenshot for posterity. So Doug Smith says he's denying that he's trying to intimidate people, which he's essentially caught as doing the complete. I mean, he's caught in a lie here. There's no question. Savagely caught. And that's not my words. Gary Epperson writes, Douglas, somebody better start calling out the BS Governor Hutchinson is doing to the Republican Party what Obama and Hillary did to the Democrat Party. Ouch. Keep going. Douglas Smith says some more. What is that full statement? He says, let's see. This is the craziest statement. This lets you know this guy has no business. I don't know. I feel good about conservatives' chances if Douglas Smith is advising Asa in any capacity whatsoever. It might be worth the $50,000 taxpayer investment to have this guy screw up to give Ace a bad advice so he screws up. I'm dead serious. It may be worth it, folks. We may actually save more money in the long run if we just go ahead and keep paying him his $50,000 salary and he keeps having the ear of the governor. Douglas Smith writes, I just don't think these dinners are the place to do it. They have a hard time getting people to donate, buy tables, and support these events. When the ones who buy the tables pull their support, these events will die out. Like I said, you have no idea how hard the battle was in Mississippi County. Gary Epperson saying, that's odd. Jan Morgan packs the house. And she does. And then Willie on Facebook, LOL, savagely caught lying. Bam. And then Gary writes that Doug Smith is using carefully crafted language. Where do you see that? Oh, the Bureau failed him. Yeah, the Bureau, they're getting worse by the day. Something about the pressure that's just mounting up. Anyway, just another rhino on the governor's payroll. I mean, that pretty much sums it up, folks, don't you think? That pretty much sums it up. I bet no more emails, just phone calls from now on. Oh, boy, I love it. I love it. It's not every day somebody misleads people or lies to them and then immediately is shown to be a liar. And, by the way, all of this wasn't planned at all. This is just incredible. Just incredible. And we have now Baxter County saying the same thing. Anonymous source out of Baxter County saying the same thing is happening here. So they're getting phone calls and emails from the governor's office too. I want you to know something. Baxter County is like one of the most conservative places in the state. That if they think that they're going to bully the county there and get Jan Morgan to disinvite Jan Morgan, they have no idea what. I mean, like Baxter County, there's no way in the world they're ever going to cancel that, ever. But let's recap. Can we recap here for a second? You have Mississippi. First you have Craighead County. And now I'm sorry, Craighead County. I don't believe your statement anymore. Can I say that? I don't believe it anymore. How am I supposed to believe you guys? You're telling me it is just a coincidence that you invite Jan Morgan, disinvite Jan Morgan, say it had nothing to do with the governor, it had nothing to do with higher-up establishment Republicans pressuring you, had nothing to do with that. And it's just a coincidence that Mississippi County, we do have evidence that it's happening now, and we have an anonymous source in Baxter County saying it's happening in Baxter. You're telling me it's just a coincidence what happened with you, that there wasn't anybody. Are you telling me it's on the committee that was planning the party? You're telling me that there was nobody that might have had a phone call from somebody who knew somebody and didn't tell the rest of you guys the real reason you guys were being asked to disinvite somebody who's one of the most popular speakers in Arkansas? No. It's shameful. It's shameful. You know what's even worse? You know what's worse? And again, I'm not a registered Republican, but Mississippi County appears to be standing up. They appear to be standing up. Baxter County, they appear to be standing up. I mean, 2 out of 3 is not bad. Should have been 3 out of 3. We're talking about local. This is a local event, right? I mean, what's the big deal? These I'm telling you, man, the people at the local level in these county committees, they work forever. Especially in eastern Arkansas, they have worked forever trying to get recognition, Republican recognition. And now to actually realize it with these massive Republican majorities, and you have some people that just know, well, we got to protect the committee. We worked really hard to build the committee. We got to protect the committee. And I understand that. Your committee is a pawn. You got to be careful that your committee is a pawn. And don't. I'm just telling you, all of the committees feel this way, that they've built their committee. Don't be used as a pawn, though, to stand for the very thing you worked to build in the first place. And that's the sad thing. I talked to people down at the Marble Palace who were sitting in the galleries. They were sitting in the House gallery watching these bills be passed one after the other. You know, after they get through with their award ceremony every day, recognizing this person, recognizing that person. I saw a Democrat state representative one time go down and they had a vote on a meteor, recognizing the day a meteor hit Paragould, Arkansas. Like, this is the time that's the kind of stuff they waste time on. And then when they get around to doing anything, it's growing government and taxes. But I talk to people up there in the gallery and they say, we knocked on doors for 20, 30 years trying to build the Republican Party in Arkansas, and this is what we have? Folks, I just got word we've got Jan Morgan on the line. Jan, welcome back to the program. It's good to talk to you again.
Well, thanks, Paul. Good to talk to you, too. I didn't know I was going to be the subject of today's show, or I would have called in earlier. You know, it's so sad that it's come to that we've got our Republican leadership trying to silence free speech. And number one, they're missing the point. I don't know what they're so afraid of. You know, if the Republicans in control are doing a great job, then I don't have anything negative to say about them, right? But the thing is, the speeches that I deliver at these county events are rally the base kind of speeches. I'm not trying to tear the Republican Party apart. I'm trying to build it up, to fix it. You know, we've got people watching us right now. We've got the ball, and I keep trying to tell them that the same mistakes they're making on the state level is what's happening on the national level. When the establishment is not paying attention to we the people are going to leave, or we're going to take over the party. And what we're trying to do is unite everybody. We all need to be supporting the Republican platform, and it's the ones who aren't supporting the Republican platform that are the problem. I'm simply drawing attention to that, trying to save the party. The party is in trouble. We are in a crisis at the state capitol because we're losing our good legislators because of the same type of bullying, the same kind of thing they're doing to me, and I'm not even an elected official. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's what is so interesting about all this is that you're being invited to speak by the party that's supposed to be of local governance is now from the top down trying to demand this fealty, this unwavering loyalty, because they disagree with you, what you will do. Even I know you are positive and want to just talk about the platform, and that's awesome. But by just doing that, you expose the people in power as have not done or not,
who are not
doing
exactly because people know people are not stupid, and so. Yeah, that's the problem, and I think that what we're doing is shining the light. I am, and shining the light on the issues in a way that maybe some of our legislators don't feel that they can because of the repercussions they have faced already, and that you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm not in that position. I have faced some repercussions of standing up to those bullies at the state capitol. We've seen that, and I had a Department of Finance audit as soon as I did my little rant in House Judiciary against the guys that were carrying the governor's water as opposed to representing the people in their districts. But, that's okay. I passed with flying colors, and I'm fine. I survived, and I'm out here, and I'm going to continue to fight. And I tell you what, the last thing I said to the governor in my meeting with him, he said to me, he said, Jan Morgan, I know you're not going to go away. And I said, no, sir. We, the people, are not going to go away. And we aren't, Paul. We're engaged, we're paying attention, and all you got to do is right by the people, and we're not going to bother you. But the waste, the corruption, the cesspool that we have at our state capitol, that has got to end, and we're not going to go away until it does.
I've been talking about this email that I did get from one of the governor's employees, to the Mississippi County Republican chair, trying to, say that your coming is not a good idea and that sort of thing. And I've in doing that, I have forgotten to even talk about the Liberty Doesn't Matter Arkansas Tea Party Alliance Tea Party that took place this past weekend, where you were a speaker. What were your thoughts on the event?
I thought the event was amazing. I was extremely happy to see all the people that showed up. I didn't have very long to speak, and I didn't get to say everything I wanted to see. They had a loaded agenda there that day, and I wish I could have stayed for the full day. It was just an incredible event. But I think we're seeing more people get involved, Paul, and not only on the national level, but on the state level, and I'm hoping and praying that involvement is going to be good for our state, and because they're going to have to vote. They're going to have to pay attention to what's going on and then vote based on the knowledge they gain. And for too long, they've just had these little dinners and fundraising events where the establishment comes in and tells them how great and wonderful everything is. And as long as they're not being personally affected in their pocketbook, people are buying it. I've seen that. And people are going to have to step beyond that. And all I'm trying to do is shed some light on truth going on in our state that needs to be addressed and what is at stake if we do not address it. That is what I'm doing in my speeches. And, truth is always a good thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's like, why are they afraid of your ideas? I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand. People go to different places in the state and they speak all the time. You know what I mean? And yet there's this top down. It's really totalitarian. It's really worrisome that this is the kind of behavior.
It's called progressive. It is called progressive. But I simply am just calling on Republicans representatives to represent the people in their districts, to not represent special interests, to stand with the Republican Party platform. Now, what is controversial about that? The Republican Party platform is very clear. It's been the same. Limited government. It's very clear. There is no excuse to not want me to speak. I'm not saying anything that is against the Republican Party platform. The problem is the people that we've elected are doing things that are in conflict with the Republican Party platform and in conflict with the interests of the people of this state. Big government is never good for the people. Never.
I completely agree with you. I'm really glad we got to go to break. Jan Morgan, I appreciate you calling in spontaneously like this and keep us updated on these engagements. I know they're not backing down, and I want to make sure that they don't. And I also want to continue to expose the people that are putting this pressure on them just for a speech. And I really appreciate it, Jan. Thanks so much.
Oh, yes, sir. Take care.
Okay, be safe. Folks, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is ASA News, The Parrot. With breaking news from the Capitol in Little Rock, I'm Bob Maloney. There are reports circling around from politicians who are in the know, and the same phrase keeps being used. That phrase is new revenue generation. Let's go to our reporter on the ground from the Capitol, Haley Hogwash. Haley?
Thanks, Bob. Yes, it seems the more politicians I talk to, the more I hear the phrase new revenue generation. We're trying to figure out exactly what that means, but you can rest assured it will be good for the people of Arkansas.
Haley, it certainly sounds like something good. I like how the phrase uses the word generation. That makes me think this has got to be doing something positive for our children in the future. Haley?
Yes, Bob, some new developments. I've just been speaking to some people who are here and are not politicians, and they tell me the phrase new revenue generation is actually code for a new tax.
Oh, my. Well, if this is true, Haley, that would add to a growing list of new taxes that have barely made any headlines at all, so it's best not to discuss them here on ASA News, The Parrot.
Yes, Bob, I know it's sure to make government officials angry that their phrasing of the new revenue generation has been changed by the people and called a tax increase.
I would expect an announcement from Mother Government soon to set the record straight. What is the new tax? Revenue generation, Haley?
Well, this new tax, a new revenue generation would add to a growing list. First, there was a revenue generation on movies, books, and songs that people download using the internet. And next, there was the tax increase. I'm sorry, Bob, the new revenue generation on all purchases made using the internet. And now I'm told this new revenue generation is a tax on the people's patience.
I realize the people don't like it, Haley, but specifically, what is the new tax? Revenue generation.
No, Bob, I'm telling you, according to the activists here at the Capitol who have gathered and are listening to some radio broadcast, the revenue generation is literally taxing the patience of the people of Arkansas. I'm told the less patience you have with the government
better not tax our patients.
The more they will tax your patience and the more money you will owe at a later date. I'm also told the collection method on taxing your patients will be decided in a newly formed multicolored ribbon task force.
How taxing.
PHP parody.
All right, what an eventful Monday. Thanks so much for being with us today. We had the Republican candidate for land commissioner on the program. Do what now? Yeah, Tommy Land. And it was good to get to hear his thoughts. But we did talk about property taxes. Now, my point on that was, just to recap, you don't really ever own your land. Isn't that weird? I thought private property ownership was a big deal. It's one of the things that you have to have a lot of the other freedoms that you have is private property, and yet it's not the same. I mean, if you don't pay your property taxes, you don't actually ever own your land. You know what I mean? So I have a text, though, real quick. I have a text. Listener wants to know the ethics rule on employees of the governor who intimidate businesses. No other reason to send the email to the owner of the Holiday Inn except to intimidate the owner, to scare them, let them know they just may have a state audit in the near future. Wow, I didn't think about that. That's true. You have a government employee on his personal email copying the owner of the venue in Mississippi County all over a speech that they don't want to be given. All over a speech they don't want to be given. Is that amazing to you? I mean, this is what's frustrating, is everything that happens is something, I mean, when we say they support Obamacare, well, that's something that Democrats do, but just ignore it. We'll be with you on the next one. Well, they support restrictions to your Second Amendment rights. Well, that's something that leftists do. Yeah, but just give us a pass. We're Republicans, and we'll support you the next time. They're supporting tax increases. Yeah, we're supporting, that's what leftists do. Yeah, we're supporting tax increases, but just give us a break. We're establishment Republicans. We'll be with you next time. They're trying to shut down freedom of speech. Yeah, that's what Democrats do, but just give us a pass this time. We'll be with you on the next big issue. Over and over and over again. They're trying to kill a religious freedom restoration bill. I thought they were Republicans. That's what Democrats would want to do. It's the Democrats that think that religious freedom is really just being allowed to go into a church one day a week. That's all religious freedom is. Religious freedom has nothing to do with how you live your life in public. Oh, that's what the Democrats believe. Yeah, we're Republicans. Just give us a pass on it for now. Over and over and over again. And at the same time, they won't call on Jake Fowles' resignation. They won't call on Jake Fowles' resignation. It's so strange. It's getting so blaring, and man, so many of you guys are listening to this program now. I appreciate it on our stations and online and everything else. And this message is resonating with you. It's driving them nuts. It's driving them nuts what's going on right now in Arkansas when it comes to the information they don't want you to have. You think the Republican Party wants you to know they're trying to intimidate county committees at the local level to not have speakers that are just going to do nothing but praise Governor Asa Hutchinson? No, they don't want you to know that because they know how it looks. Ridiculous. Some of them aren't smart enough to figure out how ridiculous they seem when they try to do things. I mean, I'm not even going to mention what it is because I've mentioned it before and I'm done mentioning how ridiculous sometimes establishment Republicans look on Twitter. It's just mind-blowing how how tone deaf they are. But back on the property tax, sorry for being a ping pong show right now. 19 school districts are now asking voters for higher millages this week. 19 Arkansas school districts are seeking millage increases tomorrow. That will help, among other things, fund construction projects and raise salaries. Unbelievable. They got to have enough. It's always, see, I mean, it's like, could you ever even get a superintendent or a liberal to admit that there is a line where you say, well, that's too much? Could you ever get them to admit? By that logic, folks, our taxes will continue to go up always until they take it all. Until they take it all. Let's just put it all into one big pot, divide it up, quote, equally, while supporting the oligarchy, the aristocrats serving Arkansas. We'll see you tomorrow.